All right, so this is the video for Tuesday, February 2nd. The bell work for today: Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have proposed raising taxes, especially on the rich, and using the money to pay for social programs such as Medicare for all and free college, universal daycare, and expanded welfare. This would move the United States more towards a socialist country. Do you support this position? So it's actually going to move the country more. If we're here, it's going to move us more to the left, closer to France and Sweden, towards the socialist side, not all the way into pure socialism, because as we discussed yesterday, socialism is the government owning means of production. Increasing taxes and raising government spending just moves us closer to that, but not actually into that range. So it'll move us closer to that. While you are writing your answer to the bell work, we are going to watch a review video. This is information from yesterday.
Faces the same fundamental problem: how to distribute limited resources to people in a way that will be fair and effective. This is what is called scarcity, and different societies approach this problem in different ways. There are four essential types of economic systems. The traditional economy is based on culture and ritual, and is focused on the community as a whole. Everyone pitches in and benefits from everyone else's effort. Small societies focused on subsistence farming and hunting are considered traditional economies. An example would be a traditional Inuit village in North America. A command economy relies on the government to make all economic decisions, including allocating and distributing resources and regulating prices and wages. A modern example of a command economy would be North Korea. A market economy is driven by consumers whose decisions determine how the industries and financial markets will operate. Individuals choose how their resources are used, what goods to make, what services to provide, and what jobs to take. In a pure market economy, there is no government involvement. Because of this, there are no true pure market economies. Most societies today have mixed economies, which utilize limited government involvement while also applying free market concepts. One example would be the United States. However, nearly all other countries are some form of mixed economy as well. Each is unique and faces the challenge of finding proper balance between consumer choices and government control.
All right, I'm not sure why that was shaking, but nevertheless, that was just a review. So today we're going to talk about the United States and where the United States falls specifically on that left to right scale. The United States, like all other economies, is a mixed economy, but we do fall mostly in the free market economy side when compared to other countries. We have less regulation, less taxes, and less spending than most other countries. But there are some elements of a command economy. So we're going to talk about what elements of our country are market economy and what elements constitute a command economy. So these are some of the features of the American free market economy. Number one is economic freedom, and that is that individuals have the rights to choose. It's called a free market economy because the people in the economy are free to decide what they're going to do and how they're going to sell their labor, trade, and buy and sell goods. So that economic freedom is something that you might not have in a command economy, where you maybe don't get to choose what job you have, or you don't get to choose how to spend your money, or things like that. In the United States, we have that freedom in our free market economy. Number two is going to be competition. One or more products, one or more producers of goods and services ensures choice. So we don't just have the one type of item that is controlled by the government. We have many items that are available for consumption. So they might be, if you go to the grocery store, you can choose all kinds of different cereals in the cereal aisle because there is a lot of competition. Well, that ensures that the cereal is as good as it can be and is as low of a price as it can be as well. It's sort of the same thing with our Chick-fil-A example from last week, where if you go to the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A and the drive-thru is too long, or the staff is rude, or if the chicken's not good or whatever, you can go across the street because there is a Bojangles or a KFC or a Zaxby's or a Church's or Popeyes competing with that Chick-fil-A. So that competition improves for the consumer, and that's something you might not necessarily have in a command economy. Number three is private property. Individuals have the right to own their own property, including business. One of the features of a socialistic economy is that every part of the economy belongs to the government. So in our example from yesterday, we talked about if you were a farmer during the Soviet Union, well, you are owned by the collective, your labor is owned by the collective, the ground you work on is owned by the collective, and the crops you produce are owned by the collective. You have no private property rights. Everything belongs to the collective. It's the same thing in the American free market. It's the same thing in other communist sort of countries and other command economies, but in the United States, we do have individual property rights. That can be your cell phone, it can be your car, and as long as it belongs to you, it is private property, and that is a marking feature of the American free market economy. Number four, self-interest. Individuals make decisions based on what is best for them. Now, you can say that could be reflected in somebody choosing whether to go to college, what college to go to, what career to follow and pursue, things like that. What place to work, what things to buy, what things to sell, all sorts of things like that. And when that happens, yes, it's part of the economic freedom back here in number one, but it's also going to ensure the best possible competition, which is here in number two. Instead of people just doing what the government tells them to, everybody in this system is trying to make a profit. And it's that profit motive, it's that profit incentive that leads to lower prices and better competition and higher quality goods in this economy. Number five is voluntary exchange. Individuals may freely buy and sell goods. If you have a job, you are selling a good. You are selling your labor in exchange for wages. It is the one thing that you have naturally to give is the time that you have. And so you've decided that the time that you have is more valuable to you if you are able to sell it in exchange for money, and your employer has decided that your time is worth a certain amount of money and they're able to then buy that from you in exchange for your wages. You then have the paycheck and the freedom to take that paycheck and spend it however you see fit. Do you want to spend it on food? Do you want to spend it on clothing or shelter? Do you want to spend it on wants or needs? Do you want to spend it on investing? Maybe try to make the money grow. Try to open up your own shop one day. Those are all voluntary exchanges. And if a person wants to get ahead, they are able to do so simply by growing and using their money in voluntary exchanges of property. A lot of times, capitalists have a bad reputation and that they're exploiting people, but in reality, they are voluntarily exchanging, buying and selling goods so many times that it creates wealth for everybody, but it creates more wealth for them because they are doing it more. Right? That's the Amazon model. If Amazon takes a small percentage of every single sale, then they're going to grow pretty rapidly. Next, number six is profit motive. Individuals are driven by a desire to profit and make money. So it is that desire to profit and make money that is going to basically make it so that Chick-fil-A has the best and most efficient drive-thru, right? It's that competition. Without the desire to profit and make money, they're not going to do that. Without the desire to profit and make money, Jeff Bezos is not going to start Amazon. Without the desire to profit and make money, Bill Gates is not going to start the personal computer. And it's all of those things that allow the economy to move forward. So those are the 6 elements of the American economy that are free market in nature. There are 3 elements of the American economy that are command in nature. One is government regulation on some business practices, for example, wages, labor, hours, and safety practices. we have a minimum wage in this country, and every state has a minimum wage within the state, which is to basically say that no person is able to make less than the minimum wage of that state. There's labor hours, not allowed to work more than 40 hours. And if you do, you're supposed to be paid time and a half, unless your salary and safety practices. You can't have people climbing up the sides of buildings without proper harnessing and things like that. And so the government will say, these are all of the things that you cannot do. And by preventing you from doing these things, we are going to regulate them in some way. That would also include, I mean, all kinds of things. It would include environmental regulations, pollution regulations, things like that. Number two is that the government limits certain choices. There are certain things that you cannot buy or produce, and certain goods and services. So the easy example here is drugs, illegal drugs. You cannot buy and produce certain drugs. But there's other things as well. Things like monopolies. You're not allowed to own all of the factors of production in a certain area. You're not allowed to collude with other businesses like you. That would be called antitrust. You're not allowed to break rules such as violating patents and copyrights. So these are all limits that the government places on certain choices in order to prevent the exploitation of certain goods, certain workers, and in order to make the economy fair. Number three, government provides aid to the needy. Medicare, Medicaid, and welfare are examples of this. This is also going to be taxes in this way. So if the government, one way the government can encourage certain things is by taxes. So if the government wants you to stop smoking, then they might put a tax on a pack of cigarettes. Or if they want you to stop spending so much gas and they want to encourage market innovation around fuel efficiency, they would put taxes on gas. Otherwise, a lot of times they're putting taxes on things like income or sales, and it's not in order to discourage that. The real reason they're going to put taxes on income and sales is to pay for things like Medicare, Medicaid, and welfare. And that would be back on that arrow, that would be moving us to the left the more of that stuff we do. So as the government spends taxes and then provides things for the people, that is sort of a command element of the economy. Where if you think about it in a fully command economy, they would tax it 100% and provide 100% of the needs of the people. It's not that, but it's not a purely free market thing where there's no taxes and there's no providing for the needs of the people.